The Luhya are a Bantu ethnic group in Kenya. They number about 5.3 million people, being about 16% of Kenya's total population of 38.5 million, and are the second largest ethnic group in Kenya. Luhya refers to both the people and the language. There are 18 tribes that make up the Luhya, each with a distinct dialect. The word Luhya in some of the dialects means clan, and Abaluhya thus means people of the clan. Other translations are those of the same ha. The 17 tribes of the book are Su, Idiko, Iska, Cobras, Kayo, Kisa, Marachi, Maragoli, Mararama, Nyala, Nyel, Samia, Takoni, Tiriki, Sotso, Wanga, Batura. They are closely related to the Masaba, whose language is mutually intelligible with Luhya. The Bokasu and the Maragoli are the two largest Luhya tribes. The principal traditional settlement area of the Luhya was in what is now the western province of Kenya. A substantial number of them permanently settled in the Kitale and Kapsabet areas of the Rift Valley province. The western province is the most densely populated part of Kenya. The Kisii are considered to be closely related to the Luhya, and more specifically, to the Nyel and Maragoli, having split from them approximately 500 years ago. The Kisii are geographically separated from Luhya by the Kano Plains, and the Nandi Escarpment, and the settlement is in southwestern part of Kenya. The relationship between the Luhya and the Kisii is deduced from the connected oral history as well as linguistic similarities. The languages are still almost mutually intelligible even though the two groups have lived in locales hundreds of kilometers apart for several centuries. Migration to the present Luhya island dates back to as early as the 1450s. Immigrants into present-day Luhya island trace their ancestry with several Bantu groups and Cushitic groups, such as the Tutsi and Nilotic peoples like the Kalenjin, Luo, and Maasai. By 1850, migration into Luhya island was largely complete, and only minor internal movements occurred after that due to diseased droughts, domestic conflicts and the effects of British colonialism. Origins. Overview. Anthropologists believe that the progenitors of the Luhya were part of the Great Bantu expansion out of western Central Africa around 1000 BC. In sharp contrast with anthropologists, the Luhya history records that they migrated into what is now Kenya, from North Africa in a kingdom they call Misri. Today Misri is Egypt. The current inhabitants of Egypt call it Masr. The most powerful centralized kingdom in what is now Kenya was founded by the Wanga. The Wanga would sometimes hire Maasai and Kalenjin mercenaries to fight for them. The Wanga incorporated most of the Luhya tribes as well as territories to the east, southeast, west and southwest occupied by the Luo, Kipsigis, Nandi, and Maasai. Pre-colonial period. Before the advent of colonialism, the Luhya, just as most other ethnic groups in Africa, defined the boundaries based on occupation of territory by community of peoples with similar language, cultural traditions or under leadership of a particular ruler or king. The territory neighbored the Baganda, Basaga and Bagasu of present-day Uganda, and the Luo, Kisii, Teso, and Nandi of present-day Kenya. The territory occupied by the Bantu around Lake Victoria and to the north of Lake Victoria was known as Kavirondo. When the British came into the area, they coined the term Bantu Kavirondo to refer to the Luhya and other Bantu communities in the area, while Nilotic Kavirondo was used to refer to the Luo. On the onset of colonialism in Kenya, the Wanga were ruled by Nabongo Mumia. The Wanga kingdom was and is a derivative of the Baganda. It was the most powerful and centralized kingdom in the region. Other leaders among the Luhya were known as Bami, a title translating to kings or lords. The British explorer Henry Morton Stanley made a voyage around Lake Victoria, and Joseph Thompson, the Scottish geologist, passed through Luhya territory around 1883. Thompson met Nabongo-Mumia and influenced British relations with the Wanga Kingdom in the region. The construction of the Kenya-Uganda Railway beginning from 1898 further opened opportunities for European interaction with the Luhya and other communities in the western part of Kenya. Nabongo-Mumia's dominion extended to other Luhya subgroups such as the Cobras and the Sotso. In the late 1800s, when European nations began the scramble for Africa, they mapped African boundaries to suit their interests in the continent, with the lion's share of colonies going to the British. In 1895, the region of East Africa was declared to be a British protectorate. It was further divided into British East Africa and the Uganda Protectorate, as all the land in Kenya west of Naivasha was mapped within the Uganda Protectorate. The Luhya people and other Kenyan communities were included in the Ugandan territory. In 1902, the boundaries were remapped and the Luhya peoples, including the Wanga Kingdom and the neighboring communities which were on the eastern part of Uganda, were annexed to Kenya. Colonial period. The first European the Luhya had contact with was probably Henry Morton Stanley as he voyaged around Lake Victoria. In 1883, Joseph Thompson was the first European known to pass through Luhya territory on foot, and was influential in opening the region to Europeans after his meeting with King Mumia of the Wanga Kingdom. The Wanga Kingdom was very similar to the Buganda Kingdom and other monarchies in Uganda, a unique form of government among the Luhya. Mumia was the last sovereign king of the Wanga, and because of ethnocentric British beliefs, was called a chief. The Bokasu strongly resisted British incursions into the territory in the 1890s. In 1895, they fought the British from a stronghold near Bungoma on the lower slopes of Mount Elgin called Chetamby's Fort. The British had machine guns and massacred over 100 Bokasu warriors in the stronghold, who were armed with spears, hide shields, bows and quivers of arrows. In the 1940s and 1950s, the Bokasu resisted the British under the leadership of Elijah Masson, a religious sect leader and prophet who demanded return of the lands. Masson was imprisoned during the Mau Mau Rebellion in the 1950s, but was released to his home area at independence in 1963. The Cobras and the Wanga collaborated peacefully with the British. Most Luhyas from the Cobras subgroup joined the colonial-era police forces. Nabongo-Mumia was forced to sign treaties with the British after being defeated. This allowed the colonial authorities to subject his people to British rule. Significant numbers of the Luhya fought for the British in the Second World War, many as volunteers in the Kenya African Rifles. As with many African societies, the Luhya also named their children after significant events. Consequently, many Luhya people born around the time of the Second World War were named Kia, a transliteration of Ka, the acronym for the King's African Rifles. Other famous chiefs during the colonial time included Ndombi wa Namasia, Sudi Namachanya, Namatala and Ongoma Loronde. Tribes and clans. 1. The Bokasu speak Lubukusu and occupy Bungoma and Mount Elgin districts. The clans of the Bokasu include the Batura, Bamalaba, Bamwale, Bakikayi, Basirakwa, Bare Shale, Bijalo, Bakabeti, Bakiza, Bamwe Bamwa, Bangoma, Basikali, Bakiabi, Balayalali, Bamuki, Bakona, Bahoy, Bamim, Basombi, Bakwangwa, Babuto, Bakowan, Bayangal, Balanya, Batukwika, Baboya, Bala, Balako, Basaba, Babulia, Bafu, Bamasomi, Baitcha, Bafu, Babachachi, Bamala, Balanda, Babilo, Bafumo, Bayemba, Bemba, Baya, Bali, Bembo, Bamakongi, Babeti, Baanga, Bakuta, Balisa, Balukulu, Balwanya, Bamalisha, Bamukoya, Bamuna, Bamatira, Baonga, Bamangali, Basefu, Basekis, Basenya, Basame, Basamisi, Basabanjo, Basong, Batakva, Bacha, Bachamaya, Bachamal, Bama, Bambu, Bakoma, Bakonjo, Bakwami, Bakulaluwa, Bando, Bachamalukus, Bathisi, Bakobalo, Bamateri, Bamakulali, Bamiwa, Bahongo, Bazamo, Basangalo, Bashanaga, Bajaoya, Bachimbayi, Bangachi, Babia, Bond, Bakone, Bakimwe, Batluz, Bakarawa, Bakamukongi, Balaleti, Babasaba, Bakakai, Bakitanga, Batemlani, Basaka, Batisama, Bakiyabi, Baniwaka, Banyangali, etc. For a complete list of Bukasu clans, see Shadrach Amakoye Bulima's new book Luhya Nation. 2. The Samia speak Lu Samia and occupy southern region of Busia district, Kenya. The clans of the Samia include the Abatabona, Abadongard, Abakulo, Abakamngala, Abasonga, Ababukaki, Ababuri, Abalala. 3. The Kayo speak Lukayo and occupy Nambale district and Matayos division of Busia County, Kenya. Kayo clans include the Abagwari, Abasota, Abakabi. 4. The Merachi speak Lumrachi and occupy Butula district in Busia County. Merachi clans include Ababa, Abathofoyo, Abamachama, Abatula, Abamurono, Abangayo, Ababul, Abamulembo, Abaklia, Abapwati, Abasumia, Abarano, Abasamalwa, Abaquira, Abamuto, Abamaleli, Abakolwa, Ababonwe, Abamachaka, Abliba, Ababirangu, Abakol, Abad, Abaslibo. The name Merachi is derived from Ngiono Mwami's father, who was called Merachi, son of Musbi, the son of Sirikwa. So all the Merachi clans owed their allegiance to Ngiono Mwami, from whose lineage of Ababa clan they were founded. The name Merachi was given further impetus by the warlike lifestyle of the descendants of Ngiono, who ruthlessly fought off the Luo expansion of the Jokomolo, a Nilotic group that sought to control the Nia and Sio rivers in the area and the fishing grounds around the Gulf of Arugla and Abasijo, modern Port Victoria and Sio Port respectively. 5. The Nyala speak Lunyala and occupy Busia district. Other Nyala occupy the northwestern part of Kakamega district. The Banyala of Kakamega are said to have migrated from Busia with a leader known as Makumba. They speak the same dialect as the Banyala of Busia, save for minor differences in pronunciation. The Banyala of Kakamega are also known as a Banyala Barendombi. They reside in Navakholo division north of Kakamega Forest. The one-time powerful colonial chief was Ndombi wa Namasia. Chief Ndombi was succeeded by his son, Andrea. Andrea was succeeded by Paulo Udoto, Mukopi, Joanjala, Barasa Ongeti, Matayo Yalo and Mutawa in that order. The clans of the Banyala include Abuhafu, Ababenj, Abajimba, Abadavani, Abayenga, Abakamngala, Abakubichi, Abakoye, Abakwamwachi, Abalanda, Abalicha, Abalindo, Abamani, Abalindavyoki, Abamisaho, Abamachu, Abamugi, Abamulembo, Abamwa, Abamani, Abaroko, Abasacha, Abasakwa, Abasaya, Abasnia, Abasia, Abasaloli, Abasong, Abasamba, Abasu, Abacha, Abaucha, Abama, Abamwo, Abacharia, Abayaya, Abairifuma, Abayeza, Abayundo and Abashiondo, Abachonde. The Banyala do not intermarry with someone from the same clan. 6. The Cobras speak Lukabrazi and occupy the northern part of Kakamega district. The Cobras were originally Banyala. They reside principally in Malava in Cobras division of Kakamega district. The Cobras are sandwiched by the Iska, Banyana and the Takoni. The name Cobras comes from Avalazi, which means warriors or mighty hunters. They were fierce warriors who fought with the neighboring Nandi for cattle and were known to be fearless. This explains why they are generally fewer in number compared to other Luhya tribes such as the Maragoli and Bukasu. They claim to be descendants of Nangwiro associated with the biblical Nimrod. The Cobras dialect sounds like the Takoni dialect. Cobras clans include the Abamutama, Basonia, Abikusha, Bamashina, Abashu, Abamatsembi, Balu, Batobo, Bachatsi and Bamakamala. They were named after the heads of the families. The Cobras were under the rulership of Nabongo Mumir of the Wanga and were represented by an elder in his council of elders. The last known elder was Soitlibukana Samaramarami of Lwechi village, Central Cobras, near Shagilo Market. When the Quaker missionaries spread to Cobras, they established the Friends Church through a missionary by the name of Arthur Chilson, who had started the church in Kaimosi in Tiriki. He earned a local name, Shikanga, and his children learned to speak Cobras as they lived and interacted with the local children. 7. The Sotso speak Olat Sotso and occupy the western part of Kakamega district. Sotso clans include the Abangonya, Abashizero, Abamwesh, Abashibo. 8. The Idako speak Ladako and occupy the southern part of Kakamega district. The clans include the Abashimilai, Abashikulu, Abamasaba, Abashiangala, Abamusali, Abangalori, Abamahani, Abamuhali. 9. The Iska speak Lusaka and occupy the eastern part of Kakamega district. Iska clans include the Abamwilinya, the Abakusi, Abikondi, and the Abamahedia. 10. The Maragoli speak Luogoli and occupy Vihiga district. Maragoli clans include Avamamba, Avamazuzu, Avasali, Avakazungu, Avavorugi, Avakirima, Avamabi, Avanondi, Avalogovo, Avagonda, Avamutmab, Avasweta, Avamajezet, Avajizanwa, Avalero, Avasanyaga, Avakabamab, Avayonga, Avagumagaiwa, Avasaki, Avmasing era, Avmasiro, Avasanga, Avajatsunda. 11. The Nayel speak Olanyol and occupy Banyor in Vihiga district. Nayel clans include Abikanga, Abayangu, Abashekwe, Abatongoe, Abashikhael, Abrani, Abasakami, Abamilai, Abasabi, Abasaralo, Ablonga, Abaziratsi, Abamangali, Abanangwe, Abasaloli, Abay, Abikaya, Abamukunzi and Abamutati. 12. The Tiriki speak Ludaliji and occupy Tiriki in Vihiga district. Tiriki clans include Balakoba, Bajasind, Bamabo, Bashasungu, Bamabi, Bamaluha, Balakombe, Bajura, Bamuli, Baramilai, Baguga, Bajaniga and Basuba. 13. The Wanga speak Oluwanga and occupy Mumias and Matungu districts. The 22 Wanga clans are Bashitsetse, Abikolwa, Abdika, Abachero, Abashikawa, Abamurono, Abashieni, Abamwima, Abamuniafu, Abambatsa, Abashibi, Ababa, Abamwand, Abikami, Abikulubi, Abangale, Ababonwe, Abasoy, Abalibo, Abangayo, Ababul and Abamalemwa. 14. The Marama speak Lu Marama and occupy Butere district. Marama clans include Abamakula, Abatir, Abashirotsa, Abasotse, Abaricha, Abamumbia, Abikulali, Abikoko, Abikara, Abamatundus, Abamani, Abashieni, Abaniakus, Abashikali, Abashitsata, Abacholia, etc. 15. The Kissa speak Olushiza and occupy Kwaizero district. Kissa clans include Ababoli, Abikambulali, Abachero, Abalake, Abikobol, Abikwabi, Abamurono, Abamanulia, Abarulali, Abashirarandus, Abamatundu, Abashirotsa, Abalukulalu, etc. 16. The Tagani speak Lutachoni and occupy Lugari, Bungoma and Malava districts. Tagani clans include Abichambai, Abamaricalus, Abasangalo, Abangachi, Abashaoy, Abavia, Abacho, Abrengala. The Sanyaga clan found among the Maragoli in Kenya and the Saniak in Tanzania are said to have originally been Takoni. Other clans said to have been Tagani of the Bangachi found among Bagasu of Uganda, and Balagulu, also found in Uganda, and the Bela Zuma, found among the Banyala. Although Transnea is in the Rift Valley province, substantial Luhya populations have settled in the Kitale area. Population and politics. In Kenyan politics, the Luhya population, commonly referred to as the Luhya vote in an election year, is usually a deciding factor of the outcome of an election. The community is known to unite and vote as a bloc, usually for a specific political candidate without division of mind and regardless of political differences. However, in the most recent general elections of the 4th of March 2013, this was proved wrong because the Luhya was divided between two candidates. Given the high population numbers, a political candidate who enjoys Luhya support is almost always poised to win the country's general elections, barring incidents of fraud. The community is thereafter rewarded politically by one of their own being appointed vice president to a high-profile political office by the winning candidate. In the 2002 general elections of Kenya, the Luhya proved this point when outgoing President Daniel Arap Moi unexpectedly appointed Musalia Mudavadi as vice president in an attempt to lure Luhyas to vote for Uhuru Kenyatta, his choice of successor with Musalia as running mate. The Luhyas remained adamant in the support for the opposition then led by Mwai Kibaki, who also had a Luhya, Michael Kijana Wamalwa, as running mate. The Luhyas dealt a severe blow to Moi's candidate by voting en masse for Kibaki, who thereafter won the election with Wamalwa as his vice president. Of the 11 vice presidents of Kenya since independence, 3 have been Luhyas. Others who have held high-profile political offices include Musalia Mudavadi, current Deputy Prime Minister, formerly 7th Vice President; Michael Wamalwa Kijana, 8th Vice President of Kenya; Amos Wako, longest-serving Attorney General of Kenya, 19 years into office; Kenneth Miranda, Speaker of the National Assembly; and Zacchaeus Chesoni, late former Chief Justice of Kenya. Culture. Luhya culture is comparable to most Bantu cultural practices. Polygamy was a common practice in the past, but today, it is only practiced by a few people, usually if the man marries under traditional African law or Muslim law. Civil marriages and Christian marriages preclude the possibility of polygamy. About 10 to 15 families traditionally made up a village, headed by village headmen. Oweliguru is a post-colonial title for a village leader coined from the English word crew. Within a family, the man of the home was the ultimate authority, followed by his firstborn son. In a polygamous family, the first wife held the most prestigious position among women. The firstborn son of the first wife was usually the main heir to his father, even if he happened to be younger than his half-brothers from his father's other wives. Daughters had no permanent position in Luhya families, as they would eventually become other men's wives. They did not inherit property and were excluded from decision-making meetings within the family. Today, girls are allowed to inherit property, in accordance with Kenyan law. Children are named after the clan's ancestors, after their grandparents, after events, or the weather. The paternal grandparents take precedence, so that the firstborn son will usually be named after his paternal grandfather, while the firstborn daughter will be named after her paternal grandmother. Subsequent children may be named after maternal grandparents, after significant events, such as weather, seasons, etc. The name Wafula, for example, is given to a boy born during the rainy season. Wanjala is given to one born during famine. Traditionally, they practiced arranged marriages. The parents of a boy would approach the parents of a girl to ask for her hand in marriage. If the girl agreed, negotiations for dowry would begin. Typically, this would be 12 cattle and similar numbers of sheep or goats to be paid by the groom's parents to the bride's family. Once the dowry was delivered, the girl was fetched by the groom's sisters to begin her new life as a wife. Instances of eloping were and are still common. Young men would elope with willing girls, with negotiations for dowry to be conducted later. In such cases, the young man would also pay a fine to the parents of the girl. In rare cases, abductions were normal, but the young man had to pay a fine. As polygamy was allowed, a middle-aged man would typically have 2 to 3 wives. When a man got very old and handed over the running of his homestead to his sons, the sons would sometimes find a young woman for the old man to marry. Such girls were normally those who could not find men to marry them, usually because they had children out of wedlock. Wife inheritance was and is also practiced. A widow would normally be inherited by her husband's brother or cousin. In some cases, the eldest son would inherit his father's widows. Modern-day Luhyas do not practice some of the traditional customs, as most have adopted a Christian way of life. Many Luhyas live in urban towns and cities for most of their lives and only return to settle in the rural areas after retirement or the death of parents in the rural areas. They had extensive customs surrounding death. There would be a great celebration at the home of the deceased, with mourning lasting up to 40 days. If the deceased was a wealthy or influential man, a big tree would be uprooted and the deceased would be buried there. After the burial, another tree, mutoto, mukuyu or mukumu, would be planted. Nowadays, mourning takes less time and the celebrations are held at the time of burial. Obukoko and Lizabo, a post-burial ceremonies held to complete mourning rites. Animal sacrifices were traditionally practiced. There was great fear of the ablosi or avlogi and babini. These were night runners who prowled in the nude, running from one house to another casting spells. Religious conversions. Most modern-day Luhyas are Christians. For some, the word for God is Nyasa or Nyasa. The word Nyasa, when translated into English, roughly corresponds with Nya and Asa, Asai, Say. The Luhya traditionally worshipped an ancient god of the same name, or, when Christianity was first introduced among the Luhya in the early 1900s by Christian missionaries from Europe and America, the Luhya took the name of the traditional god. Nyasa forgot about that idol, and gave that name to the god of Christianity. The first Luhyas who were converted into Christianity took words, names, the perceptions of what Christian missionaries told them about the living God, and other aspects of the religious traditions that they were born into, and applied them to Christ and God. The Friends Church opened a mission at Kimosi, and the Church of God took over the mission in Banyana. During the same period, the Catholic order Mill Hill Brothers came to the area of Mumias. The Church of God of Anderson, Indiana, USA, arrived in 1905 and began work at Kima in Banyana. Other Christian groups such as the Anglicans came in 1906. In 1924, the Pentecostal Assemblies of Canada began the work in Nyanagori. The Salvation Army came to Malakisi in 1936. The Baptists came to Western Kenya in the early 1960s. The first Bible translation in a Luhya language was produced by Nicholas Stamp in the Wanga language. Osantwa says he did this translation in Mumias, the former capital of the Wanga Kingdom of Mumia. There has been a strong Christian witness among the Luhya in the 20th century. A religious sect known as Dina Yasamwa was founded by Elijah Massand in 1948. they worship the Bokasu god of Mount Elgin, while at the same time using portions of the Bible to teach the converts. They also practice traditional arts termed witchcraft. This movement originally arose as part of an anti-colonial resistance. Various sources estimate that 75% to 90% profess Christianity. Initiation, with the exception of the Marama and Samir, male circumcision was practiced. A few sub-ethnic groups practiced clitoridectomy, but even in those, it was limited to a few instances and was not as widespread as it was among the Ajakuyu. The Maragoli did not practice it at all. Outlawing of the practice by the government led to its end, even though it can occur among the Takoni. Traditionally, circumcision was a period of training for adult responsibilities for the youth. Among those in Kakamega, circumcision was carried out every 4 or 5 years, depending on the clan. This resulted in various age sets, notably Kolongolo, Kananachi, Kikwameti, Kinyiku, Nyanj, Maina, and Sala in that order. The Banyala in Navakola initiate boys every other year and notably on even years. The initiates are about 8 to 13 years old, and the ceremony was followed by a period of seclusion for the initiates. On their coming out of seclusion, there would be a feast in the village, followed by a period of counseling by a group of elders. The newly initiated youths would then build bachelor huts for each other, where they would stay until they were old enough to become warriors. This kind of initiation is no longer practiced among the Kenya.Luhya, with the exception of the Tiriki. Nowadays, the initiates are usually circumcised in hospital, and there is no seclusion period. On healing, a party is held for the initiate, who then usually goes back to school to continue with his studies. Among the Bokasu, the Takoni and the Nyala and the Cobras, the traditional methods of initiation persist. Circumcision is held every even year in August and December, and the initiates are typically 11 to 15 years old. Sears Mena Wana Lukul, Mutoni Wana Bukalembe, Wachiya Wanamwa, Elijah Mas and Wanamim.